Hey guys, so today I'm going to film a new series, and this is going to be a den making series. I'm not the greatest at making dens, but I'm going to try. And while I make the dens, I am going to basically talk about the character who would live in this den. So the first character that I'm going to do, hold on, I just want to collect our daily rewards from our pack. Our pack is, for those who roleplay with us. It's invite only, so that's our pack. I wonder what we have today. Probably coins. It's almost always coins we get. I always forget to do the pack and get everything. So anyways, the first character we're going to do today is Drake, and the reason why I want to do Drake the most is because I'm just gonna lock my den. It's because I feel like he's the most misunderstood character. And that's because there's so much. If you didn't play from the beginning of the roleplay, you wouldn't know about them. So the den he would most likely have would be this creepy cave, as he lives in the Phantom world. I'm not sure if I want to put wallpaper or flooring. It doesn't look that great, so I don't think I'm going to put it. Unless I can find one that kind of matches. No, not that one either. Yeah, definitely not that one. That one works. I like that one. So I think I'm gonna keep that one. Okay, so now let's dive deep into Drake's story and personality. So Drake was born in the Royal Phantom family, and he has 4 siblings. There's Jake, there's Blake, there's Liv. So 3 siblings, yeah. Well, 3 siblings that are main siblings, and more siblings that came after, but they're not a big part of the story, so I'm not gonna probably do a video on them. So he was the oldest out of all of them. He was the oldest twin, and he was the favorite of the family. His father favored him to his siblings, and that was probably because he was the most evil out of all of them. And in this family, evil matters. That's all he's known, so that's why he is basically oh, my favorite children are the evil children, and Drake's like that too, when he grows up. So, Drake and Ruby knew each other their whole lives. Their fathers were worst enemies, or immortal enemies as I like to call it, because they're immortal characters. And yeah, people say immortal characters are OP, and I don't care, because this is my story, and if they don't like it, they don't have to play, you know? Ruby and Drake were pretty much love at first sight. They have been together before they even knew what love is, and that was when they were 4. They were 4? Basically, my friend, she's my twin in my roleplay, and her name's Coco. She basically said today that we were 4, so I'm just going by that number. I don't know how old I really want them to be together, or so I'm just gonna say 4. And it was like an innocent love back then, you know? They didn't know what love was. No one knows what love is at 4. When Drake was 19, he was cursed by his father because he was to become the Phantom King. And this made him even more evil than he actually was. But there's something that they don't know about him, is that he tried to fight it, and it was like he was trapped inside his own body, because he wasn't trying to be the way he is. It's like he was trying to resist it, but he couldn't because the curse was in control of him. Ruby doesn't know how this happened. The only person who knows how this happened is their brother Jake. But because he tried to resist it is the basic means of how this happened. The last words before the curse, he said to Ruby. He says, "Stay away from me. I am going to become a monster." They were sitting on the roof with Coco while this happened. Coco heard it all. And the next day, they saw him following them. They didn't know why they were being followed. And Coco thought this was creepy. Ruby just pretended not to notice, and they basically went to the aquarium and swam with the sharks. It was twin day, so they had each other to focus on. For a while, this keeps happening until they finally came back together. They settled down and had a few children. And when I mean a few children, I mean a lot of children. The first child to be born was, I think her name was Shadow Rose. Yeah, that's not to be confused with the dragon shadow. There is two shadows. But this one's a demon phantom hybrid, I believe. So Shadow Rose was born first, and then he had to go to war, so he left. He didn't want to leave, and he didn't want to fight Ruby's people, but he had no choice. It's what his father wanted him to do, and he has to listen to his father. The only person he is afraid of is his father. And the only thing he is afraid of is his father. So basically, Ruby turned to his brother, Blake, when she was lonely. When Drake came back, he was furious with Ruby and locked her in the house. He wouldn't let her leave the house. And this became the new, I guess, thing. She was never allowed to leave the house. And it was more so recently because the reason being is the Rebel Phantoms were after Ruby, and he has to act mean sometimes to protect Ruby. The Rebel Phantoms are those who cause the problems in Jamar, as we say, in our roleplay, and they want to turn Ruby into a phantom. Drake's father, Thor, cannot stand his favorite son being with a demon, as they are mortal enemies of each other. And then a few more children were born, and Lilac was born along with her twin. I always forget her name. Is it Violet? I think her name's Violet. So they were born, and then it was Sed's. Oh, and by the way, when they were apart, they had a child. Blake and Ruby had a child called Swift, and that was when Swift was born. And Blake and Drake are always competing for Ruby, and obviously Draco always wins, but sometimes Ruby does get spelled by, I'm putting this the wrong way, by the way, spelled by Drake's brother, Blake, and they have to fix the spell. and break the spell. She hates Blake for this. And Drake has always despised his brother, Blake. His family had disowned him. Not Drake, but his family had disowned Blake for being a demon. And this is why he despises his brother, because he hates demons except for Ruby. Ruby is his world. And he doesn't treat anyone nice except for her, basically. Okay, Coco is texting me. We were just talking about her. Were we, or was I just thinking about, I don't know. We were talking about one of her characters, yes. Lilac is her character, and so is Violet. So, it's gonna be time to be Drake for a second, so I can sit in the throne. But Ruby is not allowed to go into the Phantom World because of all the people who are searching for her. So, she sits in the throne. He sits in the throne, rather. So, people are gonna walk up the aisle, and I'm just gonna change back to Ruby. So then the curse gets broken, but then he gets re-cursed again, because his father will not stand the curse is broken. I'll always try to re-curse Drake. And he becomes mean again. Swift's mother-in-law dies in the hands of Drake. So they find out that Ruby was best friends with Swift's mom. And Ruby, because she has immortal powers and she is the goddess that she is, because her parents are both gods and goddess. Yeah, we ran out of film, and the reason being is because I'm probably gonna film a part 2 about him, because there is probably stuff that I missed out on.